right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the What Now Show. I am your host, Suryansh Basu Malik, and I am joined by an undefeated mixed martial artist fighting with Bellator. His name is Christian Edwards. It's a pleasure having you on, Christian. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you, Christian. So, Christian, as I do with all of my guests, I want to attack how your career started up from the ground up, right? What first got you into mixed martial arts, and why? How did you become a fan of it, and what clicked in your head that made you say that I want to get into this full time, and made you move forward full force?
Well, I pretty much since I was young, I'd always had an interest in it. When I was 13, I watched, the first UFC event I watched was George St. Pierre, Matt Hughes 3, and I was like, man, this is so cool. I always would train and do the stuff I saw on TV. And then my brother and I, we joined a jiu-jitsu school when I was 15, and it kind of just took off from there. Then once I realized that I kind of it just came to me naturally. I was like, okay, well, this is something I could actually really be good at. And I kind of just stuck with it. And then once I was 19, I made my amateur debut, and yeah, I mean, the rest is history.
Yeah, because you've had some very interesting highlights throughout your career. You're 4-0 right now as a professional. You've had a 2-0 career as an amateur, and so you've never been beat. And as you've progressed in your career, you've had some stunning finishes in and some dominant decisions in your favor. You had that brilliant left head kick knockout in round one against Caesar Bennett, which was a spectacular one of the best ones I've seen. And and on the other end, you have in your most recent fight, you choked out someone with a rear naked choke. So we know your jiu-jitsu game is also very strong. So when you're differentiating yourself for your coaches between calling yourself either a striker or a grappler, or how would you define your style of fighting the best? Would you call yourself a striker, a grappler, uh, a well-rounded mixed martial artist, or what would you say?
I would definitely say a well-rounded mixed martial artist for sure. Just because I don't favor anything over the other. It's kind of like if I go to the ground, then I'm just as comfortable there as I am on the feet. You know what I mean? And if it stays standing, then I know that I'll finish it there. So I just kind of take whatever my opponent gives me. You know what I mean? And I do very well at listening to my coaches and hearing what they're calling for in my corner. I trust my coaches. I trust their judgment. So it's really them. I give them credit for how my striking and my grappling has really came along.
Interesting. A very modest man indeed. When you've been training, you're training out of Jackson Wink MMA right now, and there's a lot of talent coming out of there. And what made you decide that you want to hold down fort with Jackson Wink MMA, and go full force ahead with that team? Was Jackson Wink always your first pick, or is that some place you transitioned to? What made you so comfortable in that particular gym?
Well, it's funny. This is actually like one of my favorite stories to tell about, how I ended up here. Because when I was an amateur, my last amateur fight, my manager, he had a scout at my last amateur fight that, told him about me and was like, you got to call this kid, pretty much is what he said. Like, you got to call him right now. So my manager, who, I owe everything to, really. I mean, that dude, he's done so much for me. Rick Guerrero, Matt's Leon Management. And yeah, he hit me up. I signed on with him. And then a few months later, he'd already had like multiple fighters out here at the time, Devin Clark, Chris Brown, Bavon Lewis, just multiple, like real talented guys. And he hit me up and was like, hey, how would you like to go train at Jackson Wink? And I was like, yeah, like we had talked about it. And I was like, yeah, it's definitely something that I would like to do. And then one day he just was like, how long would you want to stay out there? And then I was like, forever. I said forever jokingly, because I didn't think that was possible. Then he was like, okay, yeah. He's like, if that's what you want, I'll do it for you. I was like, really? And he was like, yeah, well, I've been working on this thing with Coach Wink. We were talking about a scholarship. We're doing like a Matt Leon Jackson Wink scholarship kind of thing. And I think you're the perfect like candidate for it. And if that's something you would be willing to do, I would move you out there, and like take care of, like you're pretty much training and living expenses are taken care of pretty much. It's like a scholarship to a school, just, an MMA school, so I'm like, like fuck yeah, you know what I mean? Like let's do it, like definitely, so
You are you staying
um
in are you staying in Jackson Wink as well?
yeah. Hmm.
Right. So where in your transitions throughout camps, right? You transferred over to Jackson Wink. Now we know how you got there, but talk to me about the whole transitional process, right? Of course, you're moving from one place to another. You're shifting your places. You're moving everything over to one place. And the fact that you're staying in the gym is a huge step forward into your MMA career. It's kind of like an underlying step that tells you that I'm into this full time and there's no turning back from here on out. It's like a point of no return. So when you first arrived at Jackson Wink, you understood their whole systems. You had to get acclimatized with their processes, their training routines, their regimes. Getting acclimatized with the process, as I just said. How difficult was the process? Were you able to acclimatize easily? How different were these environments for you?
Honestly, man, it really wasn't difficult at all, because I knew since I started fighting, even before I got to Jackson Wink, that this is what I wanted to do for a living, and I, like when I got here, I just really felt at home, you know what I mean? Like I was surrounded by people that had the same like drive as me, had the same passion as me, had the same determination as me. So I was like, oh wow, this is like, different, but in a good way, like, these aren't like part time, of course, like every gym has some part times, but like most of the people that train here are like really like they do this, you know what I mean, for a living, and I'm like, man, like it was awesome going from like even though I give credit to my old gym, like I love my, old coaches and I always have respect for those guys, but it's just it's a different environment here, like everybody here, they want this as their life, you know what I mean? It's their life, it's their passion, it's what they do. And, that's been me since I was 13, so if like if it was uncomfortable here at any point in time, I can't really recall it because like all I have is good memories, really.
Right. And interesting. And shifting gears and moving forward into let's get a little deeper into your fights, right? So far you've had 4 fights in your professional career. You're in Bellator right now, one of the bigger promotions out there. Now, you haven't fought since October of last year, since you had that rear naked choke victory in I think round 1 or 2, I think it was round 2. And ever since then you haven't been, have you scheduled another fight, or has anything fallen through, or when do you want to ideally plan on getting back into the cage?
Well, right now, it was weird because at first, Bellator was kind of all over the place with, like they were saying, first they were saying, oh, like the end of February or early March. And then they were saying the end of March. And then finally, like once they actually announced their next like couple of events, now they're saying like April. So I'm thinking like probably April is going to be my next one. So we'll see. Hopefully, falls through, you know what I mean? But we'll see.
Right. And there's a lot of these cards coming up, and there's a lot of people in Bellator trying to get onto the card, right? And you being one of them. So is there ideally someone you're looking out for, or would you take anyone you get?
I just, you know what I mean. I trust my manager, and I trust like he'll, like when Rich Chow, the matchmaker, comes to him with a match for me, then like I'm not gonna turn down a fight with anybody. You know what I mean. But my manager, like he always makes sure that I'm getting the right fights. Like not trying to like pad my record or anything necessarily, but just like make sure that I'm not like rushing my opportunity to get like a household name. You know what I'm saying? Like once I do get a household name, I believe with all my heart I'll beat that guy, whoever it is, and that'll be that. But until then, I'm just gonna keep stacking up bodies.
Speaking of clashes between household names, right? You have the Bellator Grand Prix coming up in the light heavyweight division. A lot of those big names out there. And any fighter's ultimate goal eventually will be the title, right? In any promotion, right? And of course, that's something you must have dreamed about at some point or another, during this undefeated run of yours. So ideally, when as you said that you want to be a little systematic with your process. When you get those household names, you want to take it when you're ready, get the victory, develop yourself as a household name, and then go for the title, of course, right? So ideally, how do you see this chart playing out in your head? How many fights or how many victories do you want before you move forward into those ranks and try to transcend those boundaries?
Honestly, man, like I think once I do finally like, it's hard to say, because like, right now I'm 4-0 and they're all under Bellator. So, like it's hard to say. I think maybe after like probably I'm thinking like 6-0 probably is when they'll, maybe even, who knows, it might be my next one, maybe, you know what I mean? But I'm thinking like 6-0, they'll probably give me somebody, you know what I mean? Like a, maybe not top 10, but one of their guys, you know what I mean? Like somebody who's, really with them, and not just somebody that they're bringing in, so we'll see. It's hard to say right now, but like I said, just they just keep giving me names and I'll just keep winning. You know what I mean? Like I have to prove a point with each fight that I have, no matter who it is, and just show them like I'm here to stay. You know what I mean? Like you're not getting rid of me, so you might as well, you know what I mean? Like give me a household name. Not like they're trying to get rid of me, like, but still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see. I completely understand. Let's get your predictions for the Grand Prix. How do you see the light heavyweight Grand Prix playing out?
Honestly, I really don't see, because even though I have a lot of respect for all the guys that are competing in that Grand Prix, a lot of them, they're past their primes. You know what I mean? A lot of them. I mean, really, if you think about it, Ryan Bader. You know what I mean? Anthony Johnson, Joel Romero, Lyoto Machida. These are all guys that you know what I mean? Like they've been in this game like a long time. You know what I mean? And, like they've done and accomplished great things, but I think their best days are really just passing. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
none of those guys that I just named, in my opinion, are gonna beat Vadim Nemkov. Vadim Nemkov, he's young, he's a killer, he's hungry. He wants to be the champ. And he is the champ. You know what I mean? So those guys aren't gonna beat him. I don't think. Phil Davis. I mean, their last fight was close, but he still beat him. You know what I mean? I think he's gonna beat him again, honestly. So I think probably Vadim will take the Grand Prix. Honestly, I think so.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, bold predictions, and moving forward, and let's actually, what? Let's attack what you said last, right? With fighters moving past their prime. You do have these people like Lyoto Machida, Corey Anderson, Anthony Johnson, Joel Romero, who've been around the game a long time, and they were also former UFC fighters. They've transitioned over to Bellator as well. All these new transitional phases and them getting the attention because of being the original OG household names in the MMA industry. So when you look at these guys and when you see them getting this spotlight instantly, is there an ounce of concern that maybe these guys are past their prime and it's a bit of a matchmaking error, or what do you make of it?
Honestly, man, at the end of the day, like as much as I feel you know, like I have to believe that I can be any of those guys. You know what I mean? Like I have to believe that, because otherwise, why am I doing this? Like we're all in this to be the best. You know what I mean? So if I don't believe that I'm the best, then I'm like, my efforts in this it's pointless. So I think that right now, even if everybody would everybody would count me out if I was in that Grand Prix. I know it, it's no joke, you know what I mean? Like really, I know it. But like, man, once that I have to see how that Grand Prix turns out, you know what I mean? Because once, that's over, I feel like it's gonna say a lot about the light heavyweight division and where it stands, you know what I mean? Like a lot of those guys I'm not gonna say a lot, but like at least one or two of them might retire after that Grand Prix. If you think about it, really, I mean, Yoel Romero's like 43 or something like that, and Lyoto Machida's older. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know, man. We'll see. Like we'll just see. We'll have to see how it turns out. You know what I mean? Like what the light heavyweight division looks like after that Grand Prix is over.
Right. And I want to talk about, you and your structure as a fighter, right? You're in the light heavyweight division, of course. Is the light heavyweight division something you prefer, or are you a natural heavyweight who cuts down during fight camps, the light heavyweight, or what are you weighing now? What's your ideal, weight plan as far as divisions go?
I definitely want to stay at light heavyweight for sure. Like heavyweights are heavyweights are big. Those are big dudes, man. I train with a lot of heavyweights. Like Dontel Mays, who's in the UFC, Maurice Green, who's in the UFC,
Mm.
Davion Franklin, who's in Bellator with me. And yeah, man, those are some big boys. I ain't trying to fight those dudes. I train with them, but yeah, no. I'm like probably 230, 234 right now, 234, 235. So yeah, you know what I mean? It's a cut, but it's like it's manageable, you know what I mean? Because I've been cutting, you know what I mean? I've been cutting since I was an amateur. When I was fighting at 185, I'd cut from like 210 or 211, so it wasn't easy, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, I'm used to cutting. I know how to cut weight, so it's not like impossible, but it is a cut for sure.
Right. Interesting. And shifting gears, and moving forward with what you said earlier, you're training with a lot of different talents in Jackson Wink, and we all know that Jackson Wink has some already established, much more established at the moment talents like Jon Jones, Polly Holm, Michelle Watterson, and all those other guys. And I'm sure you've had run-ins with them in the gym. You've said your highs and lows. Um, so what's it, when and people like Jon Jones, they're training in your weight division as well. So I'm sure you've had one or two occasions where you've trained with them or trained around them. So what's that whole atmosphere like? You're training with some of these all-time greats in their own rights. So what do you what's your thoughts like? Because I'm sure there must be something going on when you're training around these guys.
Man, it definitely, like, at first it was definitely like, kind of mind blowing. Like, whoa, like these are people I've been watching since I was like 13. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. But then after a while, I kind of like, like this is a family. We got a real like family like environment here. You know what I mean? So like, I talk to John like at least I mean at least like once a month. You know what I mean? At the very least, because he don't really train like consistently. Like when he's not in camp, he's weightlifting. You know what I mean? He's not like, training, but he deserves to do that. You know what I mean? All the stuff he's accomplished, how great he's proven he is, I mean, he deserves to do that. You know what I mean? And yeah, I've definitely been learning from these people too, not just like watching them train, but like learning from them, picking their brains, seeing how they just how they think about things and like how they approach fighting and competing and stuff like that. Like Holly is a beast, you know what I mean? Like if you talk to her about training, it's like, dude, it's like her life, you know what I mean? Like she's like obsessed, she trains 3 times a day at least every day, at least, and like, dude, it's really awesome to see. You know what I mean? Like I really like picking those people's brains and like really seeing like what it takes to compete at that level.
Hmm. Right, interesting. And while we're on the subject of training, with the impact of course, the overused subject and very relevant subject still, the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sure initially a lot of your training schedules must have been impacted, but you were still in the gym. You were still living in the gym, so you must have got some time to train. And because you've had that little bit of time in quarantine where the entire world's come to a halt, but you've still got to put the work in. I'm sure there must have been some areas of your game you've been trying to hone. There are some areas you've been wanting to practice naturally. That's what everyone wants to do is, develop their game, of course. So when you've been working on your game throughout this time during the pandemic, what's the primary aspect that you've been trying to work on? Or was it cardio? Was it strength? Was it just your overall strength, your jiu-jitsu, your striking? What was it?
Honestly, during like when the shutdown first happened initially, like it was really just, like just cardio, man. You know what I mean? Like go run like 5 miles with my friend Luis Rivera, and I got really like, man, my cardio was just ever since then. I really think that my cardio has gotten so much better. You know what I mean? When I started doing that, I was like, man, knocking out 5 miles like it was nothing. You know what I mean? And that's like something that definitely that I did focus heavy on, but I didn't stop training. You know what I mean? I was still like, like me, Coach Wink, and just all of our guys. We would have our little get-togethers, our little sessions, and we would knock them out. You know what I mean? Because like it's no, like this is our livelihood. You know what I mean? This is my livelihood. You know what I mean? So like you can't make me stop doing what pays the bills. You know what I mean? Like I got, I got freaking, I got a life. You know what I mean? Like this is my life. So like you can't tell me to stop doing that. You know what I mean? Like I had to keep doing it. I had to keep training.
Yeah, the grind never stops. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when you've been working with all of these high level coaches that you've come into, and you've spoken about how well you've mixed in with the gym, and of course you're living there as well, as we mentioned. Um, who is the coach that you've learned from the most? Who is that one? Everyone has that one guy who they look up to, or those one or two people who they look up to when they're training, and they try to harness the most knowledge from. So who has been that one guy, that one go-to guy for you?
For me, definitely, I would say Coach Wink. You know what I mean? Just because like like Coach Wink is, like all the coaches have invested a lot of time into me. You know what I mean? Like Coach Greg, Coach Joey, Coach Wink. Most of all, I think is like, it's just the time that he's put into me and like the the belief he has in me. Like it shows. You know what I mean? Like just in the way that like he invests his time into me. And like really like teaches me. You know what I mean? Like make sure that I understand what he's trying to teach me. You know what I mean? And like I have a lot of love for Coach Lincoln. He's a great coach and just a great man in general. You know what I mean? So like definitely I would say Coach Wink.
Right, interesting. And as you've been progressing in your MMA journey, let's go back to some of these highlight reel moments in your fights, right? When you've looked back on some of these moments, you've won your fights through ground and pound finishes, head kick knockouts, submissions, decisions. What has been the fight where you've had the most fun, or you've had the most adrenaline pumping when you've been going for the finishes, or the most intense decision victories? What's been your biggest takebacks from any one of these fights? Can you run me through one of those fights?
Um, but it's like each fight, like, every time I've always say like, oh, okay, now that's my favorite fight. You know what I mean? Like I've said that about Marco Hutch. When I first went to the decision, I was like, oh, that's my new favorite for sure. Kicking over the TKO Justin Vargas, like that's my new favorite fight because I went to it to really like display
Christian.
my just dominance. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all right. Hey guys,
Okay.
sorry for the disruption. We had a few connectivity related issues, but no, yeah, we're back. So Christian, I'll ask you the question again. You've had a lot of these fights, a lot of huge moments. What's your biggest takebacks from one of these fights? Which one was your favorite fight to look back at?
Yeah, I mean, like, truthfully, every time I fight, I always say like, like I'm like, oh, that's my new favorite fight, because I always take, like I analyze my fights like crazy, you know what I mean? Like when I just fought, oh man, like the week after my fight is the worst because I don't do anything but watch my fight 1,000 times a day at least, you know what I mean? So like, I just analyze every little aspect, like what I could have did better, what I did great, what I, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I got caught here, or just something stupid. You know what I mean? Like it's not stupid, but it's stupid in a sense of like I'm just so like it makes me seem crazy because I don't like I'll celebrate like maybe one day after my fight, and then after that I'm just watching my fight over and over and over again. You know what I mean? Um, I think the Marco Hutch fight, like just because I went to a decision and I was able to really display, like I put a good pace, you know what I mean? I was able to show like my grappling, my striking, my clinch work, and like it was like it was a good fight, you know what I mean? Like I have a lot of respect for Marco Hutch because he's tough, you know what I mean? I really did try to put him away, and he was just, he's tough. He just hung in there, you know what I mean? And Yeah, I'd probably say Marco Hutch. That was probably my favorite fight for sure. Now I'm really thinking about it. Yeah, probably that one. Just because it was, I took the most away from it. Even on that last fight, I did take a lot from that fight too, for sure, with
Mhm,
Hamza Salim.
mhm,
Tough
mhm.
dude. He never been finished going into that fight. So it was, yeah,
It's
man.
got
I
it's got
think,
to feel amazing, right? Finishing guy that's never been finished before. It must be a fun feather in your cap, huh?
yeah, for sure. Definitely made me feel good about myself. Made me feel like, man, I was really prepared for that fight. Like there was no way I was gonna be denied that victory. You know what I mean? And like that's how I go into all my fights. I feel that way. Like I'm not gonna be denied this.
Yeah, your work ethic, from what it seems, it's absolutely relentless, and for which I really hope you go do so leaps and bounds ahead in your MMA career, and moving forward into say for example, in these intense moments in the fights where you've got the guy knocked down, or you're getting a very good position in the jiu-jitsu aspect of it. When you're in such a scenario, of course you have to keep your nerves cool. You have to make sure that there's no issue in particular. You have to make sure that you're not making stupid mistakes that may cost you the position, or may allow your opponent to recuperate and come back at you. So when such a moment occurs and you have this adrenaline pump, how do you keep active?
So I'm sorry, you kind of cut out there for a second. Can you repeat the question?
Right. My apologies. So
I,
when you're in one of these intense moments and you have these adrenaline pumps and you want to make sure that the other guy does not get a chance to overcome your sudden spazzy moment where even though he's knocked down, you make a silly mistake and you give up your position, or you're about to take the back, and in trying to get your hooks in for the choke, you make a silly mistake that allows him to turn over and get the mount on you. So when such a scenario is taking place, how do you keep your nerves cool?
honestly, it's funny that you said that because like the only time I've ever really been in a position like that was when I fought Marco Hutch. At the very beginning of the first round, I went for a front kick straight to his face, and he like, I think it more just like kind of hung on his shoulder than he actually caught it, but he kind of took advantage of it, which was a good job by him, of course. He like grabbed it and took it, like just kind of rolled with it and like took me down. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, man, it's only 10 seconds in the fight. I'm already on my back. What happened? But I wasn't, like I wasn't uncomfortable there, you know what I mean? Because like we've prepared for this, you know what I mean? Like every fight I go into that fight feeling like no matter what happens, every situation I'm prepared for, you know what I mean? Like because like that's just how I have to be every fight. I want to be comfortable no matter where it goes.
Right.
So I stayed cool, you know what I mean? I wasn't like freaking out or anything. I just like he was trying to posture up, land some ground and pound stuff. I was just, controlling his posture, slowly but surely getting, like regarding, getting guard back. I went for a triangle. He got out of that. And then, I just, got back up to my feet eventually. And it was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm not tired. Didn't take any damage, like I'm good, So that, yeah, I mean, I always do a good job of staying calm in those positions because I'm prepared for that going into the fight, you know?
Right. Right. Interesting, because um a lot of different training camps try to prepare you for such moments, and I'm sure when you've been in training camp, you've been preparing in a lot of different ways, a lot of different areas. And of course, there's a lot of different parts of training camp that everyone loves, and there are a lot of different parts that everyone hates. There's a lot of those annoying moments that you don't want to do. There's you're losing the will to do that particular exercise. What's the most annoying exercise for you? What's the most annoying routine for you in the gym?
Um, I would say probably that's tough, man. Like we got this hill that we go run. It's called the Hill of Tears, and it's like
The
if you're
Hilo?
in camp, it's a
Uh
requirement. What's
uh
that?
I didn't get that. The Hilo?
The Hill of Tears. That's what it's
Oh
called.
wow. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Like if you're in camp, it's a requirement. Like you have to run it every weekend at least once. And it is the worst thing I've ever done in my life, cardio wise, for sure. Because it's just the worst. It's so hard. It's so difficult because we're already at elevation. You know what I mean? but it's like, man, I can't describe it other than it's just painful. You know what I mean? Like you literally, it's like you're running up a hill. Like imagine like a deserty kind of environment, and it's like this big freaking hill. Like you jog like maybe like about a mile before you actually get there. So like we jog there, and as soon as we get there, it's like just a continuous incline. You know what I mean? Like continuous. Like it seems like it's like almost straight up. Almost. It's so tall. You know, and it's like a bunch of terrain. You know, like rocks and you know, just like a bunch of stuff that like makes it really difficult. You know, and like you start at the bottom, and as soon as you know, it's usually run by Andrew Tennyson, who's you know like he's a featherweight, fights for LFA, and he says go, and then we freaking as soon as we go, it's like you're like it's like you think you're going so fast that you're like, okay, it's gonna be over in 10 seconds. And then by 10 seconds, you look up and you still got like half of the hill to go. You know what I mean? And it's like you think you're moving so fast, but you're moving so slow because it's just so tall. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, man, you got to do at least like when you're in camp, you got to do at least 8. We try to aim for 8, but like 8 up, you walk down, and as soon as you're back down, you get like 10 seconds of rest, and you gotta go right again. And I'm like, oh man, dude, it's the
So,
worst. It really
so,
is the
so
worst.
what's the repercussions for someone who doesn't do it? Like for example, let's say someone's tired out in any of the exercises, or if someone's gassing out, and the coaches need to piss them off or do something to agitate you to get you going again. What's some of those moments that take place to get you back up and running again?
Honestly, man, like I just like I always go like even on I hate doing that stuff. I hate it because it's the worst, as far as cardio wise, I've never done anything more tiring than that, what I just described. But like, I always just want to go into each of my fights feeling like I know he did not work harder than I did. Whoever I'm fighting, I know he did not train harder than I did. There's no way. You know what I mean? And like that's what kind of keeps me going. You know what I mean? Like I don't need somebody to hype me up or I know like a lot of people nowadays have like mental coaches or whatever that they like talk to over the phone and tell them stuff that they need to hear to get them motivated. I know how to get myself motivated. I don't need nobody to tell me how to get motivated. I'm motivated every day. You know what I mean? Like I just need to go into my fight feeling like I know I trained harder than him, no matter who's standing across the cage. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I don't need nobody necessarily to tell me what to do. I know as far as being motivated and like just determined, I got that covered.
Interesting. And it just has to be one thing. And because you're just starting out, you're not that far established. You have the heart of a warrior, an absolute warrior. And I hope to hell that you go pick up one of those belts sometime soon. And I'm gonna make sure that I get to tell all the people who are watching it, I told you so, when you go up and pick up a belt up high. And let's go over to one of the smaller nitty-gritties of the MMA industry, which is of course the nicknames of the fighters. Choosing your walkout music. So what's your take on picking your nicknames and your walkout music? What's that whole process like, sitting backstage and deciding with the production guys on what's going to be what?
Honestly, man, my nickname, it's very, it's like it's short, it's simple, but it gets the point across. It's pain. Pain is, like pain is just, like a lot of people like think that like, when they ask me about it, like my teammates and stuff, like think I'm going for like a Mr. T kind of thing. Like, what's your prediction? Oh, pain. Like, no, it's not that corny stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like pain is a part of what we do. You know what I mean? We go through pain every day, doing what we do, like my body's aching, I'm sore, you know what I mean? Like it's, you're getting arm barred in practice and freaking choked out and you know what I mean? Like it's a part of what we do. It's part so
Hey Christian, I'm sorry to cut you off. We lost you there for a quick second. I'm so sorry to have cut you off. So I think we're facing some network issues again. So I'm gonna pause the recording real quick and we'll get back once Christian's back. All right, hey guys, we're back. We fixed this up, and yeah, Christian, we were talking about the whole process behind picking a nickname. You just told us that your nickname Pain, it gets the message across really quickly, and walk me through the part about picking your walkout music, right? Of course, there's some people want to pick some chill mellow music, just get you focused. Some people uh pick some heavy metals to just get their blood flowing, to just hype themselves up before they get into the fight, get that initial adrenaline pumping. What's it like for you? What's that whole decision making process like for you? It's a small bit, but I'm sure it'll matter.
Yeah, I honestly, man, like I like really, truth be told, like I'm so picky when it comes to my walkout music. Like I always, like literally every fight I've had, I've walked out to something different. You know what I mean? So like it's not one song in particular, but like my last fight I walked out to Cinderella Man by Eminem, which is like the like
Yeah,
probably the best hype up song I've ever heard. Probably.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, probably.
A
It's
lyrical
probably gonna be
genius.
something. It's probably gonna be something different my next fight, probably. But like, I'm so picky because like I just like songs that like really, like really feel like they're speaking about what I do, you know what I mean, what I feel going into a fight, you know what I mean, like something like just one song that I walked out to, for example, like I like Eminem. I'm a big Eminem fan, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like yeah, I walked out to Soldier by Eminem when he was still like, you know what I mean? I don't remember what album that was when I was like, uh Mark like guys I was just like I'm
Right.
about to go.
All right, hey guys, we're back. Sorry for the issues once again. Right. So Christian, we were talking about your taste in music, right? You spoke about your love for Eminem, your different taste in music. You like Soldier songs that talk about what you've been through. So yeah, what other music are you into? What other artists do you like?
I like Tupac. I'm a big Tupac fan. Kevin Gates. I like Kevin Gates a lot. Tupac, Eminem, Kevin Gates are my three. Like, those are my go-to for sure. I really just like mostly old school hip hop, mostly, you know what I'm saying? Not like too old school, but like, you know what I'm saying, late 90s, early, like, yeah, like late 90s probably, yeah, is like my favorite for sure. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty open to really anything, I listen to
Mhm.
like rock, you know what I mean, hip hop, old school rock, you know what I mean? Like freaking, that's pretty much, yeah, anything really. Anything that I don't know, anything that wakes me up, you know what I mean?
Interesting. And let's move outside of MMA for a second, right? I want to know a little bit more about Christian Edwards, the guy, not Christian Edwards, the MMA fighter. So outside of MMA, what else do you like to do? What else do you fill your time rather than just training and focusing on the MMA lifestyle?
Honestly, bro, I like playing video games. I'm a big video game person. I like man, seriously, really, I'm a boring guy outside of training, man. Really. I mean, play video games, watch anime and stuff like that, and I like to eat food, man. That's pretty much it.
Hey, Juan Adams, you must be close to Juan Adams because when I spoke to him a little earlier back, he also he's into a lot of anime as well.
Yeah.
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 What,
That's
what,
something we love to crack jokes about too. We'll be like, we'll be sparring and we'll be talking about it and be like, oh man, you know what I mean? Like I did not, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't. He said something to me the other day, something funny that I was like, man, damn. I was like, I have to go back and watch that because I didn't see that. You know what I mean? He was referencing Dragon Balls, like Dragon Ball Super, and I'm like, man, I'm not with Dragon Ball Super, man. It's not the I'm Dragon Ball Z, man. Dragon Ball Z is where it's at. Dragon Ball Super, that's some new shit. That's like, it's like completely threw off the Dragon Ball Z story. You know what I mean? And we were cracking jokes about it and whatnot. But yeah, I did talk to Juan about that.
Yeah. I spoke to one as well. He said a lot of similar things to you as well. With regards to anime, what else do you watch? Have you watched One Punch Man? Because that's my favorite.
Oh, really? And
Yeah,
nah, I haven't watched that one. But
you
my
gotta watch.
brother
You
swears.
gotta watch it. You gotta watch it.
My brother swears by it. I think that's the next one I'm gonna start on. Right now, I'm on My Hero Academia. Right now, that's
Yeah,
the one.
yeah, yeah. A bunch of my friends back home are really into My Hero Academia. There's a thing Haikyuu as well. And moving on, you play a lot of video games. What do you play?
Man, honestly, me and two of my teammates, Aaron Reese and Dontel Mays, we'll get together and go on like these WWE 2K19 marathons where we're just like we're playing each other for like hours on end, bro. You know, especially like of course on the weekends, you know, because
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
training all the week. On the weekends. Man, we'll get at least 6 hours of WWE time, and no joke. That's no joke or exaggeration, just beating the shit out of each other on WWE, man. It gets competitive too, man. But yeah,
Cool
that
ends,
and
cool
then
ends.
like games I play by myself. You know what I mean? I like, man, I'm weird, bro. I like games with like a story. You know what I'm saying? I've always
Oh,
like
me too, me too. Yeah.
like read like man, I've been like reading books for as long as I can remember. You know what I mean? I just like a good story. You know what I mean? So like, I like the you know what I mean like the Last of Us series. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was definitely like my
Do you play much Call of Duty? They have some amazing storylines as well.
yeah yeah yep.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, those games, Last of Us. That's probably got one of the most phenomenal stories as well. And you should try checking out this game called I think A Way Out. It's this like two-player game, and it's like two people have got to play together. It's like it's a split screen game, and the storyline progresses with like people playing only. So it's quite interesting, and I think you like it. Yeah. Christian, are you? I think we're facing some network issues with Christian again. We'll take a quick pause and we'll be right back. All right, hey guys, we're back. Sorry for the interruption. Right. So yeah, we were talking about video games, right? So yeah, I think you should really check out Last of Us. Last of Us. The no, no, my apologies. What was I talking about? Yeah, A Way Out. A Way Out. It's
Uh,
this. Have you heard of it? It's this. It's a split screen game.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. When you get the time, you should check that one out as well.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, solid. So so I think I have nothing more to here on, but one thing we do before our guests go is that for the last few minutes we let them take over and say whatever the hell they want to. You wanna call out anyone? You wanna say something? You wanna thank someone? Last few minutes, anything you wanna say? All you. Thanks so much for joining in, Christian. Whatever. Well, floor's all yours.
Okay. Yeah, man. I just want to, first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was a good interview, and always, it's always fun, like being able to, tell my story, tell where I came from, and just like why I do what I do, and I think that more importantly, I just want to say that, like everybody right now is trying to, you know what I mean, that's in this gym and in this sport is trying to, be the best and make something out of their lives. You know what I mean? I think the thing that separates me from all those guys, though, if I'm being honest, is that, it's just like if I could explain how I feel and how I think about my career, it's that I was born to do this. Like I really feel that way. And I genuinely believe that with my heart. You know what I mean? I feel like this is why God put me on this earth is to do this, what I'm doing right now. You know what I mean? And like there's something about this that just makes me like so happy. You know what I mean? Like I'm happy going on the mats and training. I'm happy doing pads with Coach Wink, and I'm happy learning from all my coaches. You know what I mean? Like this is what I was born to do. You know what I mean? And I'll end it on that. You know what I mean? Is that's what makes me different. You know what I mean? That's why I'll be champion and I'll make it. I'll make it to the top. You know what I mean? I'll stay there. You know what I mean? Like as long
Yeah.
as I can.
Most definitely will be. And speaking from you, I speaking with you, I realize that you have that work ethic, you have that heart of a lion. Pain being a nickname. I mean, you've got it all. You've had these spectacular victories. We've already seen how well-rounded you are as a mixed martial artist, and the fact that you've been so creative with the way you've dealt with so many of your fights. I genuinely believe that you could be going up to a very quick way up into the top of the table. And of course, I know you're taking that structured approach, the smarter way of going about it. You've credited so many different people for it. You're a man that spares at no expense. So, make yourself the better rounded guy, and all credit to you for it. And I'm sure all the people watching would have taken take will take back a lot of things from what you said, and I sure did too. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you all of you for watching. I'm gonna plug Christian's Instagram and all that fun stuff down below. Once again, thank you so much for joining in, Christian. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, when Christian Edwards picks up the title, when he's at the top of the table, when he's at the top of the ranking, I will be the guy who told you so. Christian Edwards is the man. Thank you so much for joining in, Christian. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.
That's what that was.